It is Dragon 11 today, the learning point of this wave. We have been learning about comfort, about warmth, about clothing, about feeling safe. Where do you feel safe? The Blue Monkey Wavespell has been inviting us to play, to bring out that child, to go after our joy, to find what we want to do, what makes us feel good, what ignites that child within us that wants to play, that wants to dream, that goes after the curiosity. And one thing I found in this energy is the curiosity can take us on a wild ride. And sometimes that's good, and sometimes it's too much. Sometimes we have to see, where do we rein in the curiosity a bit? Where is the curiosity driving us into all kinds of directions and preventing us from focus? Where do we have to say, okay, follow that curiosity, but don't let it drive you into distractions, That's one of the things I've noticed with this energy now. But it's also this energy of dreaming. We have been having some interesting dreams. I know I have. And these dreams, this blue night energy, it's also about the fears, about the shadow. What are we afraid of? Where is the little child within us feeling afraid? Where are the dreams bringing up our fears, our nightmares, our unpleasant experiences, our ideas of what might happen, what might go wrong, memories of what has gone wrong in the past, what we still feel bothered by that has happened. And dreams can be great healers. Dreams can help us to work through those emotions. Can help us through the night. We work through the day. We work through what has already happened, so as to process it, so as to feel better again. And so we have learned about the dragon, the comforting dragon, that reminds us that things will be okay. The dragon represents the clothing that keeps us warm, and the covers that keep us warm in our bed, which our parents may have put over us when we were a young child, as they comforted us. Everything will be okay. Of course, that blanket can cover many things, and sometimes we pull a blanket to cover things that need to be seen, things that need to be revealed. Sometimes we comfort too much and say, yeah, it's okay, when really maybe it's not. Really, maybe we need to take some action. We really need to do something instead of just say, go back to sleep. Father Government is watching, Now, some people might say, Father Government is watching. Alert, alert. Be careful because Father Government is watching. Surveillance, your privacy. But the other side of it is saying, yeah, what they said in England in the war, right? They said, take care. What was it now? There's this famous quote poster that they made. I don't remember. Keep calm and carry on. That's it. Keep calm and carry on. And there's this, similar thought of don't worry. The government is watching over the country. You just keep quiet and follow orders and don't worry about it and everything will be fine. And I think one thing that is becoming clear across the world is we can't simply rely on this idea that the government will take care of everything just fine, They know how to fix the problems. They have a great vision for humanity. They're working towards peace and prosperity and promoting equality, and they're just, full of great, behaviors and making all the right decisions, and there's nothing to worry about. No. We just can't believe in that illusion anymore, right? The dreams are about illusions. Can we follow the illusion, the story that everything will be okay and that we just dream on, just be a child, just listen to mommy and daddy and let the adults take care of it, right? Or can we say, well, actually, we need to step into action. We need to take our own actions in our lives. We need to go after our dream, our story. We need to write a different story. We need to say, okay, you might have your story of what you're trying to tell me, but I'm not buying it. I'm not buying that story. I'm not following that leader. I'm going to go my own way. Can we be more than a follower, than a sheep, right? This idea of this energy of being that child that lays in bed covered with wool, right? It's kind of like being a sheep that's also covered in wool. It keeps you comfortable, and don't worry, the dog is watching over you, but right up until the sheep gets slaughtered, because that was the whole reason the dog was watching over you. So that you could live your life for a while, and then once it's time, the sheep gets slaughtered. It sounds a bit dark now. I'm sorry about that. But the point is, are you going to let some authority figures say, yeah, we're watching over you. We have your best interest at heart. Don't worry about it. Go back to sleep. Or are you noticing, wait, I don't know that I trust that wolf. I don't know that I trust that. And a dog is kind of like a wolf in sheep's clothing, right? It's like they're technically still a wolf, but they don't look as fearsome as a real wolf anymore. So are you going to just follow the wolf in sheep's clothing, or do you say, well, I see through some of these things. I don't want to follow this story. I dream of something different. I dream of a world where we live with respect and love, where we take care of each other, where we work towards peace. Instead of preparing for war, we decide, actually, we're going to prepare for peace. We're going to build peace. We're going to work on creating peace. Because I feel like around the world, governments are so focused on preparing for war. And I think we all know what comes after preparing for war. What that contributes to, what that leads to, what that steers us towards. And I don't like it. I think we should build towards peace. I think we should prepare for peace. And it's not always that simple. And it's not an easy thing, If you feel that there's an aggressor at your gate, do you just wait and say, no, we're just peaceful, happy hippies, and we don't want to fight, and then you get overpowered by some aggressive military? You don't want that. It's not simple. But you can still do your best to promote peace. You can still stop contributing to the factors that lead to war. You can stop pushing weapons to other countries. You can stop giving money to those countries that are waging war. You can also decide on a more personal level to stop being part of the colonial, extractionist, capitalist economy. Not that that's easy. It's not easy to just not be a part of it. I'm not saying I'm managing, but there's all kinds of steps we can take. And that's what this wave is about, taking a step here and there. The red earth at tone 7 is saying, keep taking steps. Keep taking steps towards your dream, towards a better world, a world that all the children want, that is a world of peace, a world of love, a world of discovery, a world of play, a world where it doesn't occur to us to go and judge and be angry and be violent and try and do all kinds of crazy things. No, the child, they know that everybody else is also, good, I guess. That we all have love in our heart. That we don't need to hate. Sure, children can be inconsiderate, can have a difficulty understanding other people, but this is the beauty of what we can do as adults, is we can have a children's perspective while also having learned some of the lessons of being an adult. And so, back to those small steps, we can take small steps to contribute less and less to the systems of extraction, to the systems of pollution. We can do all kinds of small things in our consumer choices, in our everyday choices, in the things we buy, in the things we use, in the things we tolerate, in the things we say, in where we spend our energy. What are you focusing on? And are you sitting every day for 5 minutes in a feeling of love and peace? Are you dreaming of a world where we live in peace and harmony with each other? When you see other people do things that you find difficult to understand, do you judge? Do you get angry? Do you hate? I don't think you do, right? Maybe sometimes you feel angry, of course. Give expression to it. Release that emotion. Let it be there. Let yourself feel that anger and let it out. But let's not hate. Let's be understanding. Let's take that child's perspective that doesn't assume the worst. The blue knight that we are learning to become right now, that we are growing into right now, is this child that looks at everyone as innocent, that looks at everything with a new and fresh look, to not assume the worst, but to assume the best, to give a new chance. The red earth is about second chances. And so in this wave, we may discover things, hidden things, shadows, things that don't look so pretty. But can we give it another chance? Can we give everybody a second chance and maybe a third? Because have you once needed a third chance? I know I have. I know I've made the same mistake many times again. And that's the beauty of the earth. It always provides a second chance. There's always a new day. Here in Sweden they have this saying, Imorgon finns en annan dag, which means tomorrow there's another day. And this is said when we're like, yeah, I still have this to do and I have that to do, but gosh, I've already done all of this and it's kind of late. Well, you know what? Imorgon finns en annan dag. And that's the beauty of this planet. That's the beauty of life. There's always another day. There's always a new chance. The sun is born again every day as it rises from the sky. We are all born again every day. Every day is a new energy in the Mayan calendar. Every 9 months, we're exactly in the same energy again. We get to work on the same processes again. So if you missed it today, don't worry. 9 months from now, you get to do it again. And the same character comes back 20 days from now. So if you need to have that yellow sun energy or that red dragon energy, well, don't worry. It'll come back. Or you need to really finish something with a tone 13 energy, well, it'll come back in 13 days from now. This is the beauty of the cycles of life, of the repeating patterns. We are always going upwards. We are always going forward. We're always growing and learning, but there is also a repeating pattern. There is also the cycles of nature, just like there are the seasons, the months. Just like every year again, we will get the cold again, and we will get the warmth again, and we will get the rain again, and we will get the storms. Every year again, there will be mushrooms. There will be a time when the leaves fall from the trees. And there will be a time when the first greenery sprouts from the earth. We get to have a new chance again and again. And so what these days have been working towards through all of these different signs is to bring us to become that blue knight, to become like the child, to see the world with the eyes of the child. The child doesn't know that much yet, is not convinced of this or that. They haven't already made up their mind. And so they're open-minded. And it is so beautiful a strength to be an adult that has the wisdom and experience of an adult, that can have the compassion, the empathy of an adult, that can take into account what needs to be taken into account, that can take responsibility when they need to, that takes action when it is needed, but can also dream. Can also dream of the beauty. Can also believe in the goodness of life, in the goodness of everyone. Can also look at every situation anew. Can look at things they may have seen 100 times before and look at it again as if you've never seen it before. This is something one of my teachers, Alberto Viola, talks about a lot, and I still find it difficult, to be honest. The beginner's mind, to look at things you already know so well and just look at it again. Learn from it again. You'll find something new. Letting go of our preconceived notions and seeing things fresh. It allows us to bring that creativity, to bring new things into our lives, because anything that is new is something that's probably already happened before in a different cycle of this civilization, of this society. In the different cycles of time, many things may have already happened, but the beauty is, this is the beauty of the Blue Night. This is what happens when we go to sleep. We forget. We forget most of what has happened in that day. We forget even what we dream about. Because these experiences are there for us to extract the beautiful little bits out of it, for us to work through things, for us to heal things, for us to have experiences. And most of it we don't need to remember. But a few things we pick up, a few things we carry with us, and a few things we can let go of again because we've had something now to balance it. And then we can let go both of that past experience and of the thing we needed in order to let go. It's no longer needed. This is how we keep our minds open. This is how we keep our minds clear, by being willing to forget. By not holding on to everything. By dreaming anew. And yeah, of course, we want to remember things. We want to learn lessons. This is the other side of that blue night. We want to learn. That's the curiosity that drives us to learn. But it is only because we forget that we can also allow things to be new again. Without forgetting what we have learned great lessons from, we can still focus on the positive and not so much on the negative. Try to forget the negative if it's not relevant. So we can look again. Maybe it's better now. Maybe it's different now. And we don't have to let that take us into naivety, into just dreaming away, looking away, of not taking seriously what we have already learned. But we don't have to assume too much either. Who knows what a different perspective can provide? And I keep seeing this again and again when we think about people in positions of power in the old society. And we see how things are being influenced from the top down, and there's so many things we can see in it. It looks, why would anyone do that? You know, it's so easy to think, why would they do that? It's so terrible. And yet, again and again, I'm surprised by how a new perspective helps me see, oh yeah, but that bit I can understand a bit better. If I look at it like that, gosh, who knows? Maybe I just didn't quite understand it. Maybe there's something more there. Maybe there's a different perspective. Maybe they're not so different as I thought. They're in a different position, but from similar behaviors, that different position may simply lead to a bigger negative impact when you do something that might not be so great, or when you follow a little bit too selfishly a inclination or desire. If you're a billionaire and you follow a little bit of selfish motivation, well, it may have a bigger impact than if you're not a billionaire. Now, I don't want to oversimplify it. I don't want to justify what some people are doing that might be terrible. But I think it's so important that we keep looking from different perspectives and that we don't assume evil. That we keep thinking, okay, well, I don't actually know that much about this person or this people or this culture or the people in that country. So, do I really know what their motivations are? Do I really know why they're doing? What do I not know about them? And maybe that's a lot. You know, the blue knight, the child, like I said, the child doesn't know that much yet. And that can be a strength, but it also can limit us. It's like the fog where we just can't see that much. You can see in the glyph of the blue knight, there's a little cloud, and there's these curtains that are kind of covering, and there's only a little bit you can peek through. So that's kind of like this perspective of the Blue Knight. It sees only its own perspective. It has this veil, and it can look through the veil, but it can also close the curtains. So do we look away or do we dive into the mystery? And it's a balancing act, as with everything. We're always balancing. And so we always have to evaluate for ourselves, and in every situation, where should I maybe follow my curiosity a bit more? Where should I maybe dive a little deeper into the mystery? Where shall I be a bit more like the curious child that's dreaming? And where do I need to step a bit more into responsibility, take some action, do what I know needs to be done? Where do I say, well, tomorrow there's another day? And where do I say, gosh, I've been postponing this for so long, I'm gonna get it done right now? Which is very relatable because I'm a little late with the podcast, in case you hadn't noticed. We're at Dragon 11. It's been 10 days of being in this wave, and I just didn't manage to do it. Things coming up, and all kinds of things. But now it was a little late, and I wanted to go to bed. I wish I had done the podcast already, but okay, here it is. I decided, I'm gonna go do it right now. And it feels good to do it. And I love what's coming forward in this sitting right now. So I'm glad I did. And I also want to go to bed. Which is just, exactly what I've been talking about. This wave. Which is about, the bed, the covers, the comfort. And do we go to sleep, or do we look and see what is there? When do we, right? So always look whenever you're listening to an astrology or whenever you hear some good advice, always think, okay, but what's the other side of that? What is my place, right? So this is something I learned about good advice. It's only good for the person who needs to hear it. And most advice says do this or do that. And you always want to think, okay, do this if you're actually kind of doing the opposite. If that would actually balance you a bit more away from the extreme. But if you're already doing a lot of this, then you don't want to do even more of it. In most cases, Sometimes, sure, maybe you're being encouraged to do what you already love to do. Great. But sometimes we can think we need to get rid of our ego because everybody's talking about how we need to get rid of our ego. But maybe you actually need to work on building up a little more ego, a healthy ego, a little more focus on yourself, a little more belief in your own capabilities, a little more ambition to go after what you want, And so it's always like, look at what you need. What is your place? So I find this so beautiful about this astrology, about these signs, is they have both sides, The blue monkey is about play and seriousness. It's about transparency and hiding. It describes a certain theme, and it works on that spectrum of all the sides of that theme. And so if we learn about the dragon, or if the blue monkey is our theme, or if the goal is the blue knight, we still have to look, where do I stand with it? What is out of balance? What is already in balance? What do I need right now a bit more of? What do I maybe need to do a bit less? We're always looking for that balance point. I think that's beautiful, And sometimes we want to dive into the extremes because there's so much to learn from extremes. But we also want to go back to the balance point again and again. Or a bit more towards balance. We don't have to sit in the middle all the time. But whenever it doesn't feel very good, sometimes push just a little bit further. Sometimes, right? Go just a little further because you're almost there. But a lot of times, when it doesn't feel good anymore, turn around. Balance it. Find its opposite and move a little towards that. Sometimes it's just that simple. I remember I once felt like I was being a bit nihilistic and I just didn't feel like I could get myself to care about things, And I tried to figure out, how do I work with this, Why is this nihilism? I don't like it. It feels so negative. And I looked at it and I realized, wait, this is one side of Blue Monkey. Blue Monkey who doesn't want to take anything seriously, right? It's escapism. It's this sense of trying to escape responsibility or escape the realness of life or the difficulties. And so how do I give positive expression to that blue monkey? And the blue monkey is about play, about laughter, about putting things into perspective, about being willing to take seriously what needs to be taken seriously. But also allowing yourself to see, okay, maybe there's a few things I'm taking way too seriously, and in order to escape from that seriousness, I'm compensating by really trying to run away from other things. And so if we can balance the extremes of a particular energy, then we find more harmony. We find more balance. So, whenever something is out of balance, whenever something is causing friction in your life, look where is its opposite. How can you balance it by working with that same energy in a more positive expression? This is what we're always trying to do with astrology. We're always giving expression to the astrology. All those people out there doing terrible things in the world, all the politics and whatever you might look at, they're giving expression to the astrology. Trust me. If you look at it, they're absolutely expressing the astrology. But they might not be expressing the highest potential of it. When we do it unconsciously, when we're not aware of how we are expressing that astrology, when we're not aware and in tune with those energies, when we're not conscious about it, conscious about our choices and how we want to be in the world, we still give expression to the energies in the air. But if we do it consciously, if we have consideration, if we take the time to tune into what feels right, we can give a beautiful expression to the energies of the day. This is why I make these podcasts. This is why I look at the day energy every day, most days. Because if we are aware of the energies, we can consciously work with those energies. We can consciously tune into the energies. And that helps us to give expression to it. This is why it's so great to know your own birth wave, to know your energy, your astrology, because you can consciously give expression to it. Because you can see, oh, wow, yeah, that is apparently my challenge in life. And okay, it's about this and about that. Yeah, that's indeed a thing I always go a bit too far in. And that's what I can balance it with. Okay. That's what that's what I find in understanding my own birth chart. Is how can I balance things in my life? How can I balance the extremes? How can I come to harmony? How can I give the most beautiful expression to the potentials that I've been given in life? So, that's enough for me in between the lines promoting a Mayan astrology session that you could book in the link below in the description. Yeah, that's the blue monkey energy of this wave. That's in between the lines. We're saying something, right? But anyways, I love doing this. I love bringing you the astrology. And I hope you enjoyed listening. I hope you enjoyed tuning into these energies. I hope you enjoyed the feelings that it brought up. It's good to tune in. I've watched so many energy readings from astrologers and others, and tuning in, it's really good to just align with the energies, to be aware of those energies. And you don't have to remember it all, Your brain can work on it, and just the fact that you heard it, it'll start doing some work in there, You don't have to do it all consciously. Some of it just happens if you listen to it once. It'll work into your behavior. It'll work into your expression. But you have to occasionally check in. You have to occasionally listen and look and let that curiosity bring you to see some things, to listen to some things, to take in a little. And then let it work onwards. Be curious and open again. This is the balance, right? The curiosity to dive into something and then allow yourself to forget and be open-minded without knowing what's coming. But somewhere in your subconscious, you know some things. Intuition can guide you. Intuition can guide you when you're not too convinced, but you're also not putting your head in the sand. You occasionally take in some new insights, but you allow some space to forget and start the day fresh without all the preconceived notions. So, this is the beauty of open-mindedness. This is, I guess, a little insight in how we can train intuition, because, like I said, the goal of this wave, Blue Night, we are becoming and growing into that Blue Night, which is intuition, which is the child, the dream, the story. So, I'm really wrapping up now. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. I hope you had a great week. I wish you a very great week to come. And I'll see you in the next one. Have a lot of fun. Bye. Nice. Nice, babe. Good job.